Hello, IMGs. Welcome to this live session. I'm so excited to be doing this. It's been a hot minute since I got on live to talk about IMG related material, particularly for those of us that are going through this cycle or the 2021 application cycle, and you're waiting on the rank order list to result in a match. So I'm so excited to come on today and do this because I want us to discuss specifically how you can prepare for the rank order of how you can prepare for the SOAP. Can't get my words right today, guys. Forgive me. So if you are in the 2021 match, I want you to just tell me as you join. Tell me that you did apply last year so that I know who I'm speaking with. And if you are applying this September for next year's match, then tell me as well. That way I know how to tailor today's session to meet your need, because it's about you. I don't want to come on here and talk about what I think you want to hear when you want to hear something else, okay? So if you applied last year and you're looking forward to the results in 2 weeks, or if you will be applying in September, I want you to tell me right now in the comment. So I have, Carmen, and yep, Arnie applied last year. Yes, hoping for the March. I'm rooting for you. I'm rooting for you. Kosi last year. Okay, good. So then let's talk about how to prepare for the SOAP, just in an event where it becomes necessary, okay? Because hopefully my prayer for you is that you don't need to SOAP, right? That is my number one prayer for you, is that you don't have to SOAP. But if you end up without a match, the first thing I want you to remember is that it's not necessarily a definition of your entire medical career. It is not a definition of your strengths, okay? It doesn't mean that you are not competitive or you were not competitive, because a match in itself is an algorithm and it gets tricky. So this is for those who applied 2021. Now, for those of you who will be applying in September, I want you to stay tuned because I have some special announcements for you, which I'll tell you before this live session is over, okay? So stay tuned as well. Don't get distracted. Now, if you look right here on the screen, I have the layout of match week, okay? And so typically it'll start off that Monday, around Monday the 14th, and segue down through Friday. Now, the key thing I want you to remember here is match week, when it starts, usually starts off with just the results coming out and people knowing that they've matched or not matched, and then the SOAP happens. So the one thing I want you to do is, if you have to participate in the SOAP, I want you to have 1, a personal statement. 2, I want you to look at creating a variation of your personal statement that you can quickly edit. What do I mean by that? If you are applying and so obviously you guys know the SOAP gives you 45 positions. Unless you are really good, I don't recommend that you try to SOAP into many specialties. I recommend that you try to go for 1 or 2 at maximum, but I would say 1. Just keep it streamlined because you'll already be frazzled. There'll be a lot going on. The last thing you need is to feel overwhelmed by what's going on, that you misallocate documents. Okay, so I don't want that to happen. So I strongly recommend SOAPing for 1 specialty, okay, just so you keep things streamlined. 2, I strongly recommend that over the next 2 weeks, you work on reviewing your personal statement and getting professional help with your personal statement. You can view my personal statement. I have my personal statement I wrote for fellowship fairly recently, and I've put it out on the internet as an example. If you're interested in that, you just DM me after this and I'll send you the link of where you can read it. But I want you to review your personal statement again because you're going to use that for your SOAP cycle. The way the SOAP works you will have to use the same application that you used last September. You cannot necessarily make a new application. So just focus on using what's in your hand already. But since you can use a new personal statement, I recommend that you have some kind of variation of your personal statement in a Google document that you can easily edit if you need to, okay? And the reason I say easily edit if you need to is I'll give you a prime example. Today I posted on Instagram about a physician that I was so blessed to have mentored through her journey in application season. And she soaped last year. And I remember when she called me last year and she had an interview or was seeking an interview at a facility in her area. In that moment, obviously the emotions are high. There's so many things happening. But in retrospect, when I look at that phone call, I wish I had the time to tell her, hey, write a targeted personal statement for that program since you're local. Tell them why it's important for you to soap there from the standpoint of being within the vicinity, right? So that's why I say you have a variation so that if a program opens up and it's right down the street from you or in your state, you can quickly edit your statement to submit to them so that you can get that opportunity of really speaking from the heart as to why you would be a preferred applicant. Okay? That's the one advantage of it. Now, when you do have to go through, so there, and I should mention, there are some IMGs that do need, okay, to match through the SOAP. What do I mean by that? I also interviewed another IMG, Dr. Moraquino, and he's on my podcast. The episode number, I'll have to scroll back to tell you. I wish I had it so I could just tell you right here, right now, so you go find that episode number. But his episode number is all about the soap. So if you go on my podcast, you can just Google soap and it should bring that up. So go to drlum.com after this live and you can Google soap and it'll bring that up. But I want you to listen to this episode because he knew he wasn't going to get in through the regular match. And so now he was preparing for the soap. So that's the key. If you are in the match, meaning that you applied September or any time during the season you put in an application, you can participate in the SOAP even if you didn't get any interviews. And this is the key reason why I tell IMGs all the time when they email me or come on my one-on-one coaching sessions and they ask me, should I apply into residency? It's a little bit too late. So this is like applying in November, December, January. And they're like, should I apply now? It's a little bit too late. And I usually tell them the advantage of applying when you feel like it's late and when it is late, because I always recommend, for those of you who've taken my IMG ROADMAP course, you know that in my program, I teach you how to be competitive on day 1. I don't wait until day 5 or day 100 because you have to be in the race at the beginning to win it, right? So when March 17 comes around, if you are already in the in the match, you can by default participate in the SOAP even if you did not get any interviews. So that is why when you ask me if you should apply late, the only reason I give you for supporting your reason to apply late is so that you could still stand a chance with the SOAP. Does that, are you tracking with me? So even if you didn't get interviews and you were in the NRMP session already, you can still participate in the SOAP. So that's another advantage. Now, the third thing is to remember the rounds that they have on there. And one of the questions that I get often is, Dr. Loom, if there are 4 rounds, should I wait until the 4th round before exhausting all my options? No. If there are 3 rounds or 4 rounds, at 9 a.m., so round 1 is 9 a.m., as you can see on the screen. Oh, it's zooming in on me instead. But as round 1 at 9 a.m., as you can see on the screen there, round 2 at noon, round 3 at 3 p.m., round 4 at 6 p.m. So if I were you, I wouldn't wait until round 4 to cast my net far and wide, right? I'll do it on round 1, provided I'm permitted to, unless there is some change in the system or glitch in the system or something like that. That's what I would suggest that you do. Okay, is that you go for the jugular on round 1. Okay, and then the next step with that is you're going to interview. And during the interview, I really recommend that you employ 2 things. Okay, 2 key items. One, obviously, is professionalism, which you already know about. So you're going to show up to your interviews in the same suit that you were going to show up in if you were there in person, okay? Yes, they're going to be calling you from home and whatnot, but be prepared. Be physically ready to show up and act like it's just a regular interview that you would have prepared for. So my same tips that I gave you on my reels and my videos about preparing for interview, they still apply. You're still going to be suited up. You're still going to be present. You're still going to answer those questions. The second thing, in addition to professionalism, is vulnerability. And there are 2 ways to be vulnerable. In a professional space, especially medicine, we're not allowed to be open about our failures. And so that makes it to where, because we're if you think about it, we're in a really smart cohort. All of us did really well in our prior medical school days, which is how we ended up in medical school. So, chances are most people are not willing to talk about their weaknesses or their failures and things like that. And I get that. But my recommendation for you is, if you find yourself in that scenario, take the bull by the horns. Meaning, don't sugarcoat what's going on. If you are at the point in your career where this is the most important thing to you and you're willing to give it your 100%, then the person that interviews you during that SOAP cycle needs to understand that. They need to perceive that. But you have to do it from a place of strength. You have to do it from a place of confidence and courage. So you're not doing it from a place of being a failure, which is so easy to embody, because once you think you're a failure, you come in with a lack of confidence, your conversation's lackluster, you are not confident in your delivery as to why you'll be a good fit at that point in time, and that's where you lose your interviewer, okay? So lace your interview with professionalism and vulnerability, but vulnerability must be done with 100% confidence. So you're still speaking highly about yourself, even though you're in the SOAP. You're still speaking highly about your accomplishments, highly about your achievements thus far, highly about the things that happened, and not making sorry excuses of why you didn't match, but instead speaking about why you would be a good fit for that program, irrespective of the result of the match. Okay? And you may be wondering, why, Dr. Loom, you always coach us about how to be competitive, how to match. Why are you doing this live? I'm doing this live because if I don't teach you how to handle failure, then I will fail myself as a coach. My goal is that you can handle failure as much as you can handle success. And so if you do fail, and by failure here I mean if you don't get what you want the first time around and you have to SOAP, there is a way around it to make it successful for you. The truth of the matter is, there are going to be positions offered during the SOAP and you want it to come to you, which is why I'm doing this live. So in summary, what did I say today? I said, cast your nets widely. SOAP round 1, be all in, okay? Do edit your personal statement this week and next week if you have some time, which you should have time in preparation for that. 3, definitely follow all the rules. So if they say don't contact, don't contact. If they say you can't call, don't call. Don't do anything that puts you at risk of getting, on a probation list or doing anything against the NRMP rules, okay? And then last but not least, I want you to consider approaching your interviews with the same level of respect, the same level of professionalism, and add vulnerability. Be honest about where you're at, but do it from a place of confidence. So I'm going to take some questions now. If you have questions, go ahead and put it in the question box. This is particularly applicable for those who applied this past September. For those of you who are applying next September, I want to invite you right now to stay tuned to this page because I have some really cool information that I will be announcing early next week. And I want you to be a part of my free resources that are coming up. So don't miss out. Don't miss out on any of this information. Stay tuned to this page. And we'll take some questions now and see if anybody has questions or concerns or doubts. I've pinned a link on here. For those of you applying in 2022, go ahead and sign up on this link and I'll send you some really cool information about some cool stuff that I'm working on. All right. So let's see here what questions we have regarding the SOAP cycle. How do you manage your mental health during the SOAP? Oh my God, this is a great question. So there are certain things regarding mental health that I feel like are important. I think the primary problem with the SOAP cycle and mental health is dealing with the thoughts that come to your head. Because in that moment, there's thoughts of failure, there's thoughts of a dream career just sort of leaving your sight, especially in light of other people getting that and you not getting it, right? So there's that thought of comparison, there's a thought of jealousy, there's a thought of doubt, okay? There's a fear of failure, kind of embodying that this one thing now defines who you are, which is not true. It does not. And there will be thoughts of, even just disdain, because you've invested so much and you may not feel like you are getting back what you've invested into the process. And so I would suggest a few things. I think in order to counteract your thoughts, you need to use the same mechanism to fight it. So here's how I look at it. Thoughts are a composition of words, okay? Thoughts are not reality. Thoughts are suggestions. So having a thought doesn't mean you have to dwell in the thought, okay? I want you to grasp that. Having a thought doesn't mean you dwell in the thought. Having a thought just means it's something is being suggested to your mind. It's up to you to suggest a counter thought to that. So what do I mean by that? That's why earlier this week I posted about affirmations, because those are counter thoughts. Those are words that you can use to counteract the thoughts of failure. So if you find yourself having thoughts of failure or jealousy, then I want you to write down some words, okay, about things that you want to feel and see and do differently in that moment. So you may choose to say, if I'm worried about Soap Week and me being anxious, I'm just going to write some affirmations down. I'll grab a pen and a piece of paper just like this. I was writing some notes here before I came on live just because that's how my brain works. I write some things down so that when I'm met with a difficult situation, I can go back and read my own words and counteract those thoughts with it. The second thing is movement. So movement is a way that physically shifts where you're at. Okay, so movement, if I'm sitting here, I'm just in a state of rest. I'm steady. There's no energy being released from me. But the minute I wake up and walk, I'm getting this increased blood flow, increased energy being created inside of me. I'm able to feel less anxious. I'm able to release a lot of negative emotions because I'm getting myself all high on dopamine, right? And my serotonin levels are going up because I'm actively pumping blood throughout all my organs. So movement is one great way. And you don't have to be a runner. Movement could be it's getting nice outside, start taking walks, okay? It could be start exercising. It could be yoga. It could be different things that you do to just get your body moving, because that literally, in the physical sense, shifts where you're at. Dancing is a form of movement. Those things do shift where you're at. So those are great ways to counteract anxiety. Another thing, I'm Christian and y'all know that. I'm very open about my faith. Prayer is my biggest way. Prayer and reading the Holy Book, those are my biggest ways of counteracting anxiety. So prayer, meditation on the Word of God, and really just kind of recentering myself to what I believe is the center of my universe, and kind of being in connection with that helps me counteract anxiety. So I think those are 3 great tips that I have for you for counteracting matching anxiety. Use your words. Fight the battle in your mind with the same words that it's being suggested onto you. Number 2, movement. Number 3, prayer, meditation. Okay? So I have another question on here. Can individuals still participate in the soap if they withdraw from the match? No, I don't think you can. If you withdraw, you withdraw. So you can't participate. That's why you have to stay in it in order to participate. And if you have any doubts about that, do contact the NRMP and ask them. But I believe if you withdraw, you're saying you withdraw. So let's see if we have any other questions. Question box. Okay. You can receive questions, but you cannot show them on screen. Okay. So apparently I can't show you guys my questions on screen because my badges are turned on. And badges are a cool new tool that Instagram has placed here to allow people to support the people that they follow. So if you're interested in that, you can definitely utilize that. But I can't put the questions on the screen because my badges are on, is what Instagram is telling me. But anyhow, we have a question. It says, your valuable soap tips seem to be geared towards US-based residents. What can IMGs out of the US do to stand a chance during the soap? Okay, good question. I'm sorry that it maybe sounded like it was for only US residents. But IMGs outside of the States can employ the same reason. So maybe your personal statement doesn't have to say that I am next door or this is my hometown or whatever, but you can still edit it to speak to why that program is important to your overall long-term career goals. So if you are in Cameroon, for example, and you have that interest and you know this program is maybe reputable across the nation or in that particular specialty, then you can always speak to that as the reason why. It's just all about really getting a reason why. And for those that are outside of the US, I would say that you should make sure that you get your times right. Like if it says Eastern Standard Time versus Central Standard Time, if you're interviewing with a program in Pacific Standard Time or Central Time, make sure you get the conversions right so you don't miss the opportunity to be live for an interview if you're being offered one. Also, another tip for those outside of the US is the rules for the SOAP are the same whether you're in the US or outside. Obviously you can't change your application form, so you're just going to keep it as it is. Your personal statement is an area for improvement. The way you interview would be the same, professional and vulnerable. And obviously there are people who have matched into residency without ever being in the States, right? Because if you listen to my podcast, you'll see that I interviewed Agrawal, who did all of this process, all from India, without ever being here physically in the States. So it is possible. So don't feel like what I'm saying is only applicable to US IMGs. No, it's for everybody, non-US and US IMGs. Harp says, what did you mean by focusing on round one? I didn't say focus on round one. What I said was, if you are involved or applying into the SOAP, don't think that you will wait for another better opportunity to come on before you apply. So if there's round one at 9 a.m., participate at 9 a.m. Start there. Don't wait and start in round 3 at 3 p.m. because chances are they could also fill up before that next round comes around. Does that make sense? Can you let me know if that's clear now? I just don't want to make sure. I want to make sure there's no misunderstandings there. How to improve my resume if you don't match. If you do not match and you need to improve your resume, I want to invite you to watch my free webinar about this. I have a webinar on how to, what to do if you don't match. It's on my YouTube page. It's also, you can DM me or DM at IMG ROADMAP and we can get you that link. It's free for you to know how you can improve yourself if you don't match. So let's see if we have any additional questions here. If not, we'll go ahead and I'll see you guys soon. I have some really cool stuff coming out soon, guys. I want you to stay tuned. On Monday, I'll be making a really major announcement. And for those of you who are starting over next cycle or applying for next cycle, I want you to check out this link right down below here. And it will give you all the information that you need. It looks like Dr. Iyanu is live. Let me see if he would join us. I don't think he's on there. But he's the one I was just telling you guys about that did the interview with me regarding SOAP and how he prepared for SOAP. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, check out my podcast and his Dr. Morikino and his episode where he talks about how he literally just prepared for the SOAP. So Susanna says, hi, I might have missed this, but do you recommend applying to the maximum 45 programs in the first SOAP round? Yes, absolutely. I do recommend that you apply into all the programs that you could possibly qualify for in the first round. There's no reason to wait. And I think it'll be easier for you if you're applying to one specialty because then you just have to focus on that and not be trying to scout around and get more than one, but obviously I understand that there may not be 45 programs in your specialty that are open until you take a backup specialty. But yes, if you can, please exhaust that option the first go around. Vegdani MD says, our program is going to have score cutoffs for next year since it's not pass fail. So everything is not pass fail. Step 2 CS, Step 2 CK is still a score. So I don't think that programs are going to not have cutoffs anymore. Because Step 2 CK is still a score. I just think that there's a push to more holistic application to review. So that's really kind of the bottom line of that. And I will be doing a live session and a webinar actually next week regarding, how to prepare yourself for holistic review. So if you are interested in that, I want you to check this link out that I put it's pinned down here below. And yeah, check it out in order to know what to prepare for. All right. So we are going to go ahead and see if there are any other questions in the room for us. All right. I think we got all the questions. For step 1, step 1 is now pass fail. So that's what it is. But step 2 is still going to have a numerical score. And yes, there'll still be programs that will want certain cutoff scores. Unfortunately, they may say pass for step 1, but as you know, if you were, this is going to be a really bad example, but if you were one thing yesterday, you just don't change overnight, right? It takes a while for you to adapt to the change. So they're just not going to now it's just all comers. No, they're still going to be picky about things. It'll take a while for things to adjust, okay? I wouldn't worry so much about not doing so well. I personally have told my story multiple times about my step 1 performance. So if you want to know how to still be able to make yourself competitive with even a low score, I recommend that you sign up right here for this link that I've shared with you, because it will change your life. It literally will. All right. Very well, guys. Thank you so much for coming on this live, and thank you for sharing some time with me. I'll save this for your viewing later on, and do stay tuned. Lots and lots of IMG content coming out this coming week. Some really cool announcements for you guys. So I cannot wait to share all this with you and so much more. Oh, thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. I see all your messages. Very sweet, very kind. Thank you.